ain't profound. It's deep where the heart makes sound. One last beat and it might bleed out. I just might leave now, empty these airbags and lie me down. See the lies in your eyes catching up with your mouth. I made my mistakes, of course I never lived them down. You won't let me, left marks on your heart. You will never forget me, condescend me and call me proud. I told you what you need to win and how. I'm a madman now. My worst fears realized, no longer the sad clown, Pagliacci the Pennywise. The point of no return, make them ashes and let them fly. You ain't gon' save them all, so go ahead and just let them die. Murder these emotions, bury them deep inside. If I get any colder, I swear I'ma freeze the shy. All I could do is soldier, marching through a starry night, focused on the end game, finally gon' get it right. Find myself in the light, been fighting for my fucking life, dealing with you fake fucks. I ain't gotta say much, you know what it is, kid. I just wanna blaze up, continue getting rich, bitch, and blow the fucking name up. Built by where I came from, pushed by what I've been through. You deferred my dreams, the reason I resent you. It don't make no sense, you pretend I don't offend you. I'm everything you hate, but if you walked a mile in these shoes, you finally understand why it's not in me to respect you. We come from different fabric, different madness, different venue. We lost our common ground, the bond just wasn't sound. The objective was to come up, and now you bring me down. Now you bring me down.
Crushing me inside. Needs to lift me up. Now you get me down.
Cold stares and crooked smiles for what seemed a million miles. Every demon that I let in is out to hunt me down. Burn this jungle up around me, leave the ashes on the ground. Scorched earth, cursed birth, body bags of 4 pounds. This is what we left with, why else would we be desperate? Gunning for each other's heads, wishing everybody dead. Fight the reaper often, but he will never soften. Relentless with his methods, he will put you in the coffin. My mind isn't earned, cause I've already burned. Drowned in the dark matter, mirror shattered, I've learned. You won't take what I've earned, never break what I create. Cause I have made the sacrifices you're afraid to make. My fear is lost potential, being anything but great. Succumbing to the suckers, to the leeches and the hate. Politicians with their speeches in these streets cannot debate. Punch your ballots with these bullets and you'll run and seal your fate. Democracy's a mockery, only the strongest stay. The weak will fade away, and us will see another day. No matter what another motherfucker has to say, I will never let you hold me in one place. Your problems are your own, it's personal, emotions overblown. Living separate visions, conscious overthrown. I trust none of you bastards, I'm safest when I'm alone. It's sad, I understand it's how it is out on this road. It take a gorilla's grip to hold on to your soul. Brute force to stick to the script and not let it go. You can't slip, one false move and you'll never know. Had you gotten up, how far you go, how far'd you go.
Yo, salute. Welcome back to Shy Ill Reacts. I am your host, Shy Ill, and we are in the building. We are back at it in the midst of a blizzard that wasn't so blizzardy. Salutes to everybody in the building. Salutes to everybody on their way in. Salutes to those that stay. Salute to those that walk away. We got a couple of things to cover today. First and foremost, say what's up to the chat. Salute to Old Soul, being numero uno in the chat. And shout out Big Chang. Salute to Big Chang's in the building. Appreciate everyone. As y'all walk into the house, please wipe your feet and hit that like button. If you have yet to subscribe, please do that. Hit the share button and let your people know we outside. Inside, all at the same time. What's poppin', y'all? It's been a couple of days. I missed y'all. I had to step away for a second, all right? Couple of things we're going to cover today. We're going to get through 2 chapters of Cartel Wives. That's that's happening. We got another video from Spider Loke about the chain. We're going to skim through that one because it's a lot more of the same. What else we got? And the explanation for what will be, as of tomorrow evening, the cancellation of me covering Finnegan's Take. All right, some things happened during the week. If you read my post on the channel, then you know what happened. And if you do not know what happened and you had not read the post, we're going to get into that too. First and foremost, a little bit of housekeeping. We got $2 text-to-speech donations. The link is in the description. You can have a comment come right across my screen and come through my speakers for $2, and it'll look something like this.
Test user sent $50 test message.
All right, that thing got all kind of echoes going on, but I'm gonna figure that out. We're working on it. So it'll look like that. For $5, you can add a link to that, and the link will pop up, and I will react to that video right then and there. As long as it's not something that'll knock my channel down, and Lord knows YouTube is trying to knock my channel down. All right, take a good look around YouTube. You see a whole lot less effort, getting a whole lot more views, and we're gonna try to fix that. As y'all can see, I put a gold ticker up on the top for a 10,000 sub goal. Let's see if it works and it activates itself and kicks in when somebody subscribes. But that's the goal. That's the short-term goal is 10,000. I'm trying to reach that as quick as we possibly can, and I'm gonna need y'all's help. And y'all's help is, I mean, it don't cost you a thing to hit that like button. So that like button helps, the share button helps, and you know, let us be the topic of conversation when you're talking to your friends about, yo, did you hear about this, that, and the other? Yeah, this dude covering it, and I'll be listening to it, and it's called Surviving El Chapo, or it's Cartel Wives, or it's Finnegan's Fake, or whatever it is. But we're here, as you can see. This live is numbered number 8. The last live I did was also numbered number 8, but it was a live that I had to delete again over this Finnegan's Take situation. So let's talk about this Finnegan's Take situation. So for those that know, I've been covering Finnegan's Take. It's a podcast of a criminal cop from Chicago that was the head of the SOS squad that went to jail on a murder-to-hire scheme and basically was a gang-banging criminal with a badge and a gun. He's home and telling his story, and I was covering his story, and it was something interesting for me. They have a connection. He has a connection to the Flores twins. He is the he was the guy in the jail that kept hawking about this money that they had, that the ladies had, and it's the reason that the ladies are in prison now. From my understanding, that's just a quick synopsis. Again, we go through all of these episodes. It's all jumbled in my head. Sometimes in the comments, you guys remind me of things that I forgot already. You know what I'm saying? And we go from there. So I've been covering Finnegan's Take, and the other morning, Tuesday morning, I woke up to 4 copyright takedown notices. Right? Copyright takedown notices, and they gave me, which was nice of them, they gave me, see, they could have just struck me. The way strikes work is, let's say I get 1 copyright strike, right? I get a copyright strike because I'm using somebody else's content. Now, let it be known, I believe everything I do is covered under fair use. Fair use is basically when you are breaking something down for educational purposes, analyzing it. You're not just playing it. You're stopping it. You're going it. You're actually creating something else. And that's what I believe I do on this channel. That's why I so adamantly get in the comments and tell everybody who's like, shut up, you talk too much, to fuck off. Because if I'm not talking, I'm not turning this into something else. I want the people here that want to hear what I have to say. That's who I want on this channel. Love me or hate me, that's who I want on this channel. So, covering Finnegan's Take. So let's just say I get 1 copyright strike for using somebody's content, right? You get that strike, and my understanding is if you get 3 strikes, those strikes last about 90 days, I believe. If you get 3 strikes within the 90 days of each other, they can shut down your whole channel. Now, I put a whole lot of work into this channel, and it hasn't manifested as I would like it to yet. But I am happy with what I have. I have a great community of people that come in here and they get on the live and we talk our shit and we have a good time and we're respectful to each other and it's all good. I enjoy that. That's something that I enjoy. So I'm glad I got that and I thank you guys for that. And I appreciate all my supporters. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to put my channel in danger. So in reality, with 4 strikes like that, they could have probably hit me and knocked my channel down instantaneously if they just hit the strike. But they didn't. They put up an email for me to reach out to review the standings of the copyright strike and to reach out to them if I'd like. So I woke up Tuesday morning to that. All right, I didn't wake up to like 50,000 subs and 2-3 million views. Nah, I woke up to 4 copyright strikes. Instantly sent out an email to Neil Edelstein. Neil Edelstein is the guy doing the podcast with Finnegan. If you guys have heard Finnegan's Take, he's the guy that's on the phone with Finnegan talking to Finnegan. I emailed him and I basically said, listen, what can we do to resolve this situation going forward, amicably, without any drama. And he didn't know what I was talking about. And then he told me that he would talk to, shout out to Ronnie Pinder in the chat. Ronnie Pinder just subbed. Salute to you. Thank you for the sub, sir. Let me see if it adjusted up here. I don't think it adjusted up there. I got to fix it. But I appreciate you for the sub. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for being here. We got a whole lot in the playlist for you to go check out. So Neil Edelstein hit me up and said he didn't know what I was talking about and that he'd need to talk to legal, right? He said, there's multiple copyrights involved in the Finnegan's Take story, right? So I explained to him what happened. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I explained to him what was going on. I explained to him my channel. And then he went and he came back and he reached out and he said, yeah, there's a different copyright on the picture than there is on the music, than there is on the podcast, than there is on the this, that, the other, and basically said, no, you're not going to be able to keep them up. You're going to have to you're going to have to take them down. They said I didn't play the ads from their version of it, and it's like, yeah, I didn't get that part. Again, I'm here to turn it into something else. I'm here to break it down. I'm here to have the conversation with y'all, Salutes JP the Ghost, Sha'el, what's happening? 100, salutes to you, JP the Ghost. Let's get our hundreds up in here. We hanging out today, dog, no pressure. I'm talking about the cancellation of Finnegan's Take. Salute Felix Reyes in the chat. Hundreds up for Felix Reyes. Appreciate you being here. The usual suspects, make sure you guys hit that like button. Do not let it slip your mind. It won't slip mine. So he was like, basically, we got to take him down. There's different. They said, we're talking to somebody about a movie, or there's a movie in the works, and this, that, and the other. Okay, that's cool. Whatever. He was like, yeah, I love what you're doing, though. I mean, listen. So this is how I ended up getting flagged. I know that they uploaded Finnegan's Take to YouTube the night before. So Monday night, they uploaded Finnegan's Take to YouTube. I realized that as soon as they uploaded it as their content, my videos were on their radar. They flagged my videos instantaneously. Next morning, I had to do what I had to do and talk to them about it. But I looked at their channel. You got 35 subs, bro. So as far as I'm concerned, Finnegan's Take just did themselves dirty and gave up on the biggest line of promotion, free promotion that they had for their product. That's how I feel. Why? Because we're creeping up on 5,000 subs over here. We got a group of people that are constantly showing up for the lives to talk about these things. I'm bringing it to people's attention. I'm showing it off, basically. So as far as I'm concerned, they lost their best promotion, and that's on them. You know what I'm saying? They want it back, they can cut a check and sponsor me. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I feel like we were doing our thing. Maybe they didn't like, they didn't like my attitude. Maybe they didn't like what I had to say about Finnegan. But listen, let me tell you something. When somebody's on YouTube showing you a product, right, and they're giving you a breakdown of a product, and they get the product from these companies, you would think that guys want to say nice things about the product so that they get more things from the company, but the company ain't moving like that. The company wants to know what you think of the product. That's the only way they're going to figure out the product and make the product better. The company wants to know what you think. They don't want you to sugarcoat shit. They want you to tell them the truth and be honest about it. And that's what I'm doing. Why? Because I am somebody that, if I'm listening to Finnegan's Take, me having the history I've had with police, me knowing the police in the city that I come from, me understanding the streets, I have something to say. They would think, okay, this is valuable information right here. And I have an audience. Not a huge audience, but guess what? It's bigger than your 35 subs, bro. Y'all, your podcast been out for months. I've been covering it for months, and y'all are just now uploading it to YouTube. So, as far as I'm concerned, they lost promotion, and that's it. So, episode 1 and 2 are there. Episode 3 has been deleted from the live, and I will not be editing and uploading episode 3. So that's gonna be a lost episode. This live goes back to number 8, so we're retroactive, and we're calling this number 8. Ronnie Pinder in the chat said, "I enjoy your content. You always keep it 100." And that piece you did with the Flores twins, I appreciate you. Thank you very much. And there's other things in the playlist for you to check out. Cartel Wives is a very popular playlist among Surviving El Chapo fans, because it is the women's point of view of everything that was talked about in Surviving El Chapo, basically. So make sure you check that out. We got the tragic death of Zach TV1. It's another playlist we got. We have Cartel Chronicles and Surviving El Chapo. So I appreciate you. Thank you. So that's basically it. Finnegan's Take is over with on this channel. I know now, if maybe I'll put up a poll or something. If y'all want me to watch the episodes on my own, and y'all watch the episodes on your own, and then I come and shit on them later, maybe I could do that. But I don't know how much I want to, shine light on something that doesn't want to, that doesn't want my help, right? So that's that. With that said, we'll move on to the next topic of discussion. Let me make sure that we're not dropping mad frames over here. So I got us simultaneously on YouTube and Kick right now, and everything seems to be holding up. I turned Twitch on earlier, and everything went batshit. Started dropping frames everywhere. Let me go back to the chat because I was talking. Also said facts, and that shit sucks. It absolutely sucks. But it is what it is. On top of them constantly demonetizing videos, this, that, the other. Again, a lot of work put in, and I see a lot of other channels get the push from YouTube. So I just got to keep figuring things out, figuring out these thumbnails and this, that, and the other, and we'll go from there. Next topic of discussion is Spider Loc is back, right? And he's a little bit more aggressive and a little bit, sounds a little bit more angry this time in his interview about the infamous spinner chain. For those that know, we've done 2 episodes on the spinner chain and how the spinner chain got back to 50 Cent. Long story short, for those that do not know, you should go watch our videos. I'll make sure that in the edited version of this video, it'll be in the top section in the cards for you to click on it and go to it. But Tony Yayo got jacked for the spinning G-Unit chain. Tony Yayo got jacked for the spinning G-Unit chain in Chicago. Well, his boy got jacked for it. And that chain seems to have gone through a whole lot of hands. And the argument has always been if Jojo Capone, Spider Loc, or the Flores twins got that chain back to 50 Cent, my argument is that it may be a case of everyone had a hand in it. All right? there might be some truth in everyone's story. But when somebody comes out and says, nah, because that story's fake, now it's like, well, now I have to question your story. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it's been. So you can check out those other 2 episodes. We covered Spider-Loc. We're going to check out this video from Cam Capone here. This was 3 days ago, I believe it was published. Yeah, 3 days ago. We're going to skip through some of this stuff because some of this stuff we heard it. There's a couple of points that I want to go see. I want to go see if he continues to say that D-Tay walked into the room and woke up Young Buck and said, yo, Buck, I'm going to take this chain. Let me hold this chain. I'm going to go to the club. That never happened. He keeps saying that. That's become a cement part of his story, and it's not true. D-Tay clearly says that Young Buck was entertaining a young lady on another floor, and he went in there and he took the chain himself. He didn't ask nobody. He just took it. Once I start hearing things like that in the story, it's like, what do you really know and what are you just saying? You know what I'm saying? With that said, here we go. Let's check this out real quick. Where you at? Let's shut this down right here. Boom. What is this image? Here we go. Oh, let's shut that one down. There we go.
While that was in play, the chain got taken in Chicago. Buck was scheduled to be in Atlanta that week. I think he skipped Milwaukee or something like that and came straight to Atlanta after trying to track down his chain. The way fate would have it, when Young Buck actually got to Atlanta, Georgia, I believe his schedule made it to where he had to go straight to the radio station. But a large portion of his entourage went to his actual hotel room, which included my brother and he knew from Nashville. So when Young Buck first got to his hotel room, I happened to be in it before he was in it. And I'm in it in a room full of a whole bunch of people that he knows. I'm like a fly on the wall as far as
fly on the wall.
So he walks in this hotel room, fresh in town from Atlanta, fresh from the radio, fresh from the lab.
I feel like cutting in Sunshine Anderson. Is it Sunshine Anderson? Heard it all before.
Last couple of days, the chain had got taken from D-Tay. I seen you just had the yellow fella on your platform. Shout out to D-Tay, man. That's my broski. We've been through a lot. We know a lot of the same shit. But anyway, D-Tay had just had the chain taken in Chicago. This is how I met Buck. He walked into the hotel room, hadn't been able to get in touch with 50 Cent in the last couple of days because 50 Cent position, once the chain was taken, I don't want to talk to you on the phone, Buck. I'll talk to you when I see you. So Buck's anxiety is at an all-time high. He walks in this hotel room. He wants to tell his entourage about this chain. I'm just a nigga in the corner.
Fly on the wall.
Don't know him. Don't even know the majority of people in this room. So he goes on this passionate presentation about the moment D-Tay came and woke him up out his bed, asked him could he wear the chain.
And there it is. You Spider-Loc, you said you saw him that he had the guy on his show. He clearly says in that interview he didn't wake up nobody to get that chain. He took the chain. Now, I'm gonna throw him some bail. Maybe Young Buck has always wanted D-Tay to tell the story that way. No, you didn't ask me for it. I ain't let you take it. And when Young Buck got in that room, maybe he opened his mouth and that poured out. Okay, that's possible. I'm throwing bail left and right to everybody. I'm telling everybody I believe your story. Again, I hold it true to what I know, to what I believe is the chain got snatched. Jojo Capone got the chain from the wolves in the street. Somebody had the money to cop that chain, and Young Buck wasn't willing to pay for it. They did. That person got up with the twins, and the twins physically got it back to 50 Cent. Cause and if you look at my other video, Jojo Capone said already, said somebody paid for the chain, put it that way. Bet. Then this guy says what he says, and then he said, but as far as the chain getting there, I don't know how I got there. So how you gonna just discount the whole end of that? You know what I'm saying? Now, the proof that I see in it is the exclusive music that we had that has Young Buck shouting out the twins on the record, screaming Chicago all over the record, talking about the spinning chain. You know what I'm saying? Like, what else do I need? What else do I need? He keeps saying he woke him out of his sleep. D-Tay never said that.
He told this detailed story from that moment up out his bed, asked him
No
could he wear the
bed.
chain.
No wake up out the bed.
The moment
No
D-Tay
asking.
came and woke him up out his bed, asked him could he wear the chain. He told this detailed story from that moment all the way up until the next day where he skipped his flight, went back to the radio station, and went through a whole process at a concert. That's why I shout out Godfather. He been my homie ever since. He tried to track the chain down. So in the process of him telling this story to his homeboys and his road management team, I'm sitting in the corner listening.
Here we go.
And out of nowhere, a cappella, I just start drowning him out.
And you need this done by when?
Was this approved by management?
An entire landing page.
Rapping.
Here we go. He start rapping. Big Chain said you a damn fool, bro. I love the way you narrate. Bruh. Cause it be like, yo, you gotta watch your own interviews. You gotta watch the interviews of the people you talking about. Like, we talk about this shit over here. Like, and I just keep hearing the same story. But they mad now, but I understand why. We'll get to that at the end.
This is how I met Young Buck.
Okay. So at this point, you go to try to get the chain back? I take it?
Once he heard what happened, once I did the rap shit, I rapped until I hadn't reached my
Here we
capacity
go.
of memorized
They're just
rhymes. I was still rapping.
words.
He stopped me, he interrupted me, saying things, and I quote, "Oh, what the them is just words. Everybody know the same words. How you move a nigga with words like that? Everybody be on me with that Pac shit. Dad, you got it. Your shit got the shake. I can't believe you ain't got no
4 touchdowns, 1 game. 4 touchdowns, 1 game. 4 touchdowns, 1 game.
situation. If my folks can't make your situation shake, I'm gonna find some folks to make your situation shake. You got it." So that was his response. And based on Young Buck at that time was affiliated with the level of the game he was, that was the level of relief I had at that moment. Like, okay, I didn't convince this dude of this, that. So bam. Very shortly thereafter, on the same evening, I was involved in multiple conversations over the telephone regarding that chain. Not only with the gang, aka Jason Taylor, aka the Bitch Boy, aka Doja. I was in conversation with him about the chain. I also talked to the big homie Godfather from Chicago about the chain. I spoke to J.O. Felony about the chain because only reason I reached out to J.
For no reason. That's what he's going to say right now. Salute 30 North in the chat. Salutes to you, brother. He called J.O. Felony for no reason. Simply because Young Buck said the name Made Men. He saw Made Men chains at the show he was at. He was like, J.O. Felony made a song with Made Men. Let me call Made Men. Let me call J.O. Felony, see what he know. But he knew he didn't know nothing. He was just doing this to show out and manipulate the room into believing he was that dude. And he's confessing to this. And he'll be mad that somebody is breaking down that he's confessing to lying to a room of people, but he want everybody to believe him about this goddamn chain.
J.O. Felony, because Buck said he saw some Made Men chains at this concert, and that caused him to be nervous. I knew the homie J.O. Nightbud, Siete, had did a collaboration with the Made Men shit back in the day, and I was just trying to show Buck I had some influence on what as much of the shit that he mentioned. And then Suge Knight name came up.
Word association. That's all he was playing was word association. Look at me. Oh, man, let me talk to jail. Oh, I talked to jail felony. He don't know shit. Oh, let me talk to this one. Oh, let me talk to that one. Oh, Suge Knight.
With the nigga Godfather from Chicago. Him up. With the nigga Godfather from Chicago. And Godfather had some influence over this chain coming back. And when I got on the phone with Godfather, I had just met Young Buck less than a couple hours ago, and I've been on the phone ever since politicking about this chain, which caused me to cross paths with this grown ass nigga from Chicago named Godfather. And when I jump on the phone trying to beat my chest, I let him know I'm Baby Spider from 97 East Coast. I'm from LA, and I got some interest in that chain being taken in Chicago. His response to that was, well, if you're from LA.
Not what he's been saying over and over. He's been saying, and I said, my brother was there when that chain got took, so I feel like they took it from me. But that's not why you was doing that. And you admitted that that's not why you was doing that.
You need to know when I get to LA, I tap in with niggas like Suge Knight, trying to let me know how heavy he was out here in these streets. So you know, I'm 2 days away from being on Suge label. So I take my chance of going big. Even though I'm on the ops team now, I took my chance telling him with extras on it, well, if you tap in with Suge Knight, ask him about Baby Spider from 97th Street, wooty, 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 woo, woo. I put extras on it. And hours later that day, shout out to Godfather, he my nigga to this day. We've been reunited. He called Young Buck and told Young Buck that, don't worry about it. You're going to get that chain back and you can thank that Spider nigga. Confirming to me, he had tapped in with Suge, and Suge with all the ability to salt my little shit up.
Which I believe he would have done because he hated Eminem, 50 Cent, Dr. Dre, everybody at that time.
Instead, he stamped it, confirmed it, and then his constituent, his affiliate. I talked to Godfather the other day. He told me this, though, because we was recounting this story. He was like, yeah, I talked to Suge, but that wasn't where I stopped. He said, I talked to a gang of people that day. I was like, oh, okay. So I'm thinking Suge did all the stamping, but he let me know this shit happened way back in 2004. He just let me know 19 years later this year that Suge wasn't the only person he talked to that day. But just so y'all know, I've told this story multiple times on my platform or in interviews. And in more recent days, maybe about 2.
And again, I believe the story, right? I believe he did all that. Like I said, I believe JoJo did what he did. I believe Spider-Loc did what he did. None of that puts that chain in a box, puts a shipping label on it, and sends it to SRC, to Gabi, who Intel gives 50 Cent over there on it. None of that happens in none of these fucking stories, and everybody running around talking about how everybody else is lying. You know what I'm saying?
2 years ago, I told the story, and someone popped up in my DM telling me, like, hey, Spider, I'm Wooty Woo from Chicago. I don't want to misquote if they GD, BD. He like, I'm from Wooty Woo. He said, the nigga you talking about in that story is my daddy. I could put you in touch with him. I'm like, you lying. So this a grown-ass man. And I can recall when I first met Godfather back then over the phone, he explained to me how he was an inactive gang member, but the structure and the organization in Chicago dictated that when he took his son to a Chicago Bulls game, he had to purchase like 19 tickets just to make sure his gang wouldn't allow him to go in public without that much security around him. That was their structure. The little boy was about 8 or 9. So when the nigga popped up in my DM 15 years later, the grown-ass man, I'm like, that's the nigga he was talking about, that he had to buy 19 tickets to take him to a Chicago Bulls game. So we've all recently collabed on a couple of even business ventures. Shout out to Godfather and his son. I can't think of his son's name, but I appreciate the full circle of that relationship. And that is actually how the G-Unit Spinner was returned to home base. The 2 Snitch brothers, the Mexicans that was tapped in, had nothing to do with the return of that chain whatsoever. I don't know. I believe 50 has some interest in pumping up their profile to sell some type of episode he has with them on one of his TV ventures.
Yeah,
However, they're
an episode
raps,
that he has
and
because he don't know that they got a podcast. Of course not. Of course he don't know that. He absolutely fucking knows that. He made it clear with that other kid, that British kid. All right. Yeah. Hold on. We're going to keep going. So 50 just made this shit up out of the blue. Like, out of all the stories that are being told out there that let's just say let's just say JoJo's story is the truth. Like I said, let's say Spider-Lope's story is the truth. Like I said, right? And let's cut off the twins verse. So then 50 just made up the rest of that shit and just threw that in there because that's what he felt like doing. I don't believe that. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. There's too many holes in that shit. You know what I'm saying? And this sounds more like more aggressive, more angry. Like, they snitches. You know what I'm saying? The snitch twins, the snitch brothers. If snitch or not snitch, if it's the way it happened, it's the way it fucking happened. That's it. You know what I'm saying? Period. If it's the way it happened, it's the way it happened. All right? At no point does he say, and then I had the chain in my hand, it was given to me and I shipped it to them. Or so-and-so hit me up and said I shipped it to them. Or no, he made it clear on a video, on an interview. I have no clue how it got to wherever it was getting to. You know what I'm saying? So, again, this is the same old thing, but angrier.
and they had no involvement.
No involvement. You take them all the way out of it. Listen, just because people cooperate does not mean everything just changes. The story changes now and we cut them out of every story. That's not how the world works. You know what I'm saying? The story happens the way the story happened. Had they done some foul shit, right? And then cooperated, it's the same thing. They still did some foul shit. You know what I'm saying? My point is just this. 50 said that that's how it happened. I believe that that's how it got to their hands. You know what I'm saying? I believe that that's how it got to 50's hands. And I believe all these other stories can be true and that be true at the same time. Not that it fucking matters. It's just dumb that people do this shit. You know what I'm saying?
And they had no involvement in that chain coming back. I've even seen Tony Ayo on some pretty big podcasts expressing that the chain came back because these two twin El Chapo associates sent the drought to the streets of Chicago in order to bring that chain back. I'm here to tell you on my mama, facts over feelings, that is the furthest thing from the truth.
And I don't believe that. I don't believe that they threatened the drought. You know what I'm saying? From my understanding, from what I've heard and gathered from the whole situation, it was not even that difficult. It was a friendly call of, what's up? You know about that? Yeah. Can I get that? Yeah. Get it? Here. Take this for your troubles. Nah, I'm straight. Nah, go and take that for your troubles. That's my understanding, and from what I hear the situation, what really happened. You know what I'm saying?
I was very personally involved with that chain coming back, and I might have to invite my boy Godfather. I might have to set up an interview with you.
Do that.
And Godfather Cam, so you can get the full story.
There you go.
What's
Do
up?
that.
This is Cam.
Do that. Give Godfather to say whatever he's gonna say. It's whatever. It don't even matter no more. Oso said, did he just put it on his mama? No. He didn't put it on his mama. He put it on his mama's mama. Facts over feelings. All right? Facts over feelings. Well, here's a fact. I saw D-Tay with his own mouth say that he did not take a chain from a sleeping young buck after asking him for it. He said out of his mouth, young buck was entertaining the young lady upstairs and he took the chain. So, no, he put it on his mama's mama. They're not going to stop no money for a chain, bro. Yeah, like, I don't believe that. I don't believe it even had to be that big. People were like putting extras on shit, right? People put the extras on shit, right? And then down the line, deny the extras. Nah, that's not how it went. Like, which one is it? Did it happen like that? Did it not happen like that? Make up your fucking mind. You know? I don't think the chain was that big a deal. I think, you know, the fact that he's still that adamant about defending his name when the reality is what he said and what they did could happen. So now they're like, oh, They're snitches. They're rats. Okay, now that's anger talking. You know what I'm saying? And that's cool. They cooperated. They're snitches. They're rats. Does not take away from the fact that they got the chain back to 50 Cent. They got the chain to Gabi at SRC, and that's how the shit went down. Period. That's how I see it. So it is what it is, man. We are still in this chain conundrum now, and that's what I'm interested in. I'm not interested in hearing Spider Loc say the same shit over and over again. I'm interested in hearing Godfather say what he gotta say. You know? That's what I'm interested in. Salutes to y'all. Appreciate y'all for hanging out. We are done with that topic of discussion unless y'all got any questions, comments, or concerns. He wilding over here, boy. The rats. They had nothing to do with it. So you erase it totally so it never happened? Alright. I feel like I know a little bit more than that. I feel like it makes more sense that it did happen and that they were the third leg of that chain's race. You know what I'm saying? The first leg was with the Wolves. No, they were the fourth leg. First leg was with the Wolves. Second was with Jojo Capone. Third was with Spider Loc, who never actually touched the chain. And then the fourth was the twins, who got it into Gabi's hands, in his hands. Like, he could put it around his neck, you know? It is what it is, though. Everybody got, what's that new shit? Their own truth. It's my truth. What? It's your truth. How'd that work out? Salute to y'all. We're going to get into a, let me check the Kick. The Kick is still working real nice. We're streaming real nice on Kick. I can't see the chat. I ain't figured that out yet. I tried to have a new chat box on the screen. That didn't work, so I'm still working shit out. We'll get it together. Appreciate y'all. Make sure you hit the like button. I think we're going to go into... We're going to go into a Cartel Wives. If y'all don't have no questions. You know what? I wanted to look up, too. Wanted to look up that family. Let's see if I could find it. News. Let's see. I don't know if it was a Cartel thing. What's popping, y'all? Yeah, here we go. I wanted to read this real quick. January 17th. 2023? No. Pike County murders. I'm looking for the story that was told recently by one of you guys. I don't remember exactly who it was. It was like a whole family of teenagers and pregnant girls and all kind of stuff, and it was pretty rough. But it was like in December or something like that. I don't know. I don't see it. Not running into it. If anybody knows, let me know, and you can drop it in the chat, and I'll check that out. But until then, we're going to get into a Cartel Wives. We're going to do Cartel Wives Chapter 19 and Chapter 20. That's what we on right now. Appreciate y'all for being here. Please hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button if you have yet to do so. Make sure you share. Tell a friend. Put it on your mama's mama. Keep it thorough. It's just words. I don't know how you do words like that. We all got the same words. Relax. All right, last week's episode of Cartel Wives was dope. It was them getting pressed by the federales. They got kidnapped and snatched up, and this time it wasn't just Peter. This time it was the whole family that got snatched up by the same guys that tried to extort them on Peter's wedding day. The twins made the mistake while in Puerto Vallarta entertaining a couple of Chinese pseudo businessmen. They wanted to go see the girls, and these guys took them to Punta Mita. Punta Mita was where they were trying to extort them for, I don't know if it was $1 million or $2 million. And we find out through Cartel Wives that we didn't find out in the podcast that Chapo and Mayo told them do not pay those guys. And then they went back to party and they got snatched up. These guys were federales. They took them in, and then the cartel got on the phone. They got on the phone and told these dudes, listen, better let them go. You better do this, that, and the other. The twins took over, sent the wives home. Mencho's army protected the twins as they switched them out for a couple of okie dokes that they put in the backseat of the car so that the federales had somebody to turn over to the United States government. Much rather look stupid than look in cahoots with the cartel. At the same time, Vivi and Val got home, and the older brother, his wife, and Jay and Val's child were not there, and the baby seat was there, which pissed off Val to new heights. And they got out of that one. So this is the aftermath of that. Chapter 19, Cartel Wives. Appreciate y'all. Salutes to you. Hundreds in the chat from me. Let's get it.
Chapter 17.
She'll lie.
Do or die time. Olivia. Right after Junior and Peter came back to our beach house, some Mexican federal agents drove all of us back to Guadalajara in 2 armored trucks. It was me and Junior in one, and Peter and Mia in another. The whole ride back, I remember thinking, if I ever really wondered whether or not the federal government was assisting drug lords, this sure as hell settles it. In fact, agents were so in the cartel's pockets that Peter and Junior decided to pay the AFI officer who helped them escape the U.S. Marshals $2.25 million just as a thank you. Chapo, Mayo, and Arturo Beltran had saved our husbands' lives once again. And ours for the first time, which cemented Junior and Peter's position in the cartels even further. Just like any big company that has executives, they were now at the top, and that afforded them benefits. Chapo gave them special passwords.
Hold on. Let's keep it thorough, though. I mean, she said, the cartel saved our ass again. Well, technically, the cartel kidnapped you and extorted you the first time, too, or the second time. The Theo Lupe time, you know what I'm saying? That was technically the cartel, because Chapo could have wrote off that 10 mil to Lupe. He didn't do that. He put that on your ass, and y'all had to pay for that. So, technically, I don't know how much they saved the ass. Like, it costs you. It's going to cost you every time they save your ass, for real.
To let paid-off government officials know which cartel they were connected to $2.25 million just as a thank you. Chapo, Mayo, and Arturo Beltran had saved our husbands' lives once again. And ours for the first time, which cemented Junior and Peter's position in the cartels even further. Just like any big company that has executives, they were now at the top, and that afforded them benefits. Chapo gave them special passwords to let paid-off government officials know which cartel they were connected to. The passwords were basically get-out-of-jail-free cards. Then, to make them feel even safer, he specifically told them they'd never have to worry about extradition. After all, he was always notified when the United States was planning to pay a visit.
Mia. Even with that kind of protection, Peter and Junior were feeling less and less safe every day.
Hell yeah.
They added extra security at the perimeters of our houses and invested in new cameras that were more sophisticated than the regular eye-in-the-sky kind you see in department stores. There wasn't a single blind spot between the two of our homes, and it was a constant reminder of the harshness of my life. I remember thinking, it's like I'm living in a war zone.
My dear, you were living in
Olivia.
a war zone.
But Junior and Peter weren't ready to get out entirely. "We've been talking about scaling back, baby," he said to me. "I think maybe we could just slow down. not grab any more work from Chapo, Mayo, or the BLO, and just send our own work. I was skeptical. What does Peter say? I asked. He's mostly concerned about our workers. We're everything to them. We're responsible for 80 families, and we can't just back off. They need to make money, but he also thinks that we can never really get away. We make all the money for the cartels, and every time we accept shipments in the United States, we're in debt to them. If something gets seized, we'll owe millions. Junior paused. My brother may be right. I'm not sure we can ever just walk away from them without getting killed. There's no halfway, is there? I don't know. So that's what we need to discuss.
Mia.
I think I don't know how they did that, because I think the slightest pullback and Chapo and them gonna notice. Hey, y'all slowing down on us? You can't. It's like working in a factory, man. You can't go in there all happy and bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and push more numbers than they ever seen before. Why? Because now they expect you to beat those numbers. They know you can reach those numbers, and they just want to run you into the dirt and get as much out of you as they possibly can. You know what I mean? Same thing with the cartel. So the moment they start slowing down, these are numbers, mind you, these numbers have probably been brought up, and they're making a lot more money with the twins on team. And they're looking at them like, y'all invented these numbers. You can't beat them? You slowing down? You backing up? Nah, we ain't having that. Time to the tree. That's damn.
The bad taste of our kidnapping was still with us, and we knew it would never leave. Even though the cartels had promised to protect us, there was nothing truly stopping anyone from trying to kidnap us again.
Facts.
There was nothing keeping the Mexican government from arresting and extraditing Peter and Junior either. Sure, the cartels had told my husband and brother-in-law they were untouchable, but if there's anything we'd learned in the last 4 years, it was that life could change at a moment's notice.
And no one's untouchable.
By March 2008, that realization and the question of what we should do about it felt even more urgent, because Olivia and I had just discovered we were both pregnant.
Damn. Double bubble.
Olivia. I always said I wanted my kids a grade apart. I loved being a mom, and I adored being pregnant. And before I'd had Brandon, I felt so close to Junior knowing his baby was growing inside me. I loved how attentive he'd been and how much he catered to me. He would kiss my belly and rub my feet every night, saying, "You've never been more beautiful to me." Still, I knew Junior was hesitant about having another child. His worst fear was something bad happening and me having to raise our babies alone. But understanding how much I wanted it and how much he loved our family, he went with it. He and I started trying to get pregnant again pretty much immediately after Brandon was born. We tried and tried and tried every month and had a lot of fun in the mix of it all, but nothing happened. After a year, I was like, what the heck is taking so long? Then I got kidnapped. I guess I should have known I was pregnant that night. I mean, I suspected. I'd been pretty up and down emotionally, but I hadn't confirmed it. But then, bam, we got dragged out of that club, and I was 1,000 times more crazy and hormonal than I usually am. I'd never cried so much or so loudly. As soon as we got back to Guadalajara, I took a test, and sure enough, there were those 2 little blue lines on a stick. I was so happy when I found out. I wanted nothing more than to be a devoted wife and mother. Having Brandon with Junior had been the greatest thing that had ever happened to us. We developed such an intimate bond, a closeness that was almost unexplainable. Junior was the best dad, too. He and Brandon were glued at the hip. They took naps together. Junior sterilized his bottles and watched every Disney movie with him. We had 3 housekeepers, 1 per floor, to make sure the house was spotless. But Junior would not let the señoras touch Brandon's bottles.
Forget senora. My housekeeper gonna have to have straps, vests, know her way around the artillery, boy. Cause y'all wilding in the middle of some mountain somewhere with a couple of viejitas taking care of the kids. He needed goons out there.
His associates started calling him Mama. And when you'd see Junior, he'd be carrying his messenger bag full of phones and our boy's diaper bag, one per shoulder and crisscrossed in the back. When I'd walk in the house and see Brandon, he'd turn his little head on me because he just wanted to be with his dad. It was going to be another new beginning for us, or so I told myself. But deep down, I knew. We couldn't keep living like this. Our babies deserved better.
Mia. Even though Peter and I were married over 2 years before we decided to have a baby, I'd always known I'd wanted to be a mom. I'm a nurturer. I like to take care of people, really listen to them, and let them know they're loved. And I knew Peter would be a wonderful dad. But we'd put it off, mainly because we wanted to enjoy each other's company. One morning in 2007, though, Peter woke me up. He was kneeling by the bed, and he took my hand. "I have to ask you an important question," he said. "Is it something bad?" "No, it's not bad. Just listen to me. I want to know if you want to have my baby." I was a little confused, but I went along with it anyway.
Have a baby by me,
Yes,
baby.
I'd love to have your baby.
Be
We've
a
already talked
millionaire.
about this. "No, serious. I want to make sure this is forever." I was getting more confused by the second. "We're married. Of course this is forever. What are you saying?" "I don't want you to say anything today. I want you to think about it. I want to offer you $5 million and you can go if you know that you can't be with me for the rest of your life. If you know in your heart that you can, then we should have a child. But if you know that this is not what you want, and I am not what you want, and this life is not what you want, then I'd rather see you happy somewhere else." I was floored. I started thinking, why is he doing this to me? Is this a trick? But I realized he couldn't bear to have me live through another kidnapping.
How many other women, percentage-wise, what's the over-under on how many other women would have took the $5 million and said, "Fuck this, I'm out"?
This was not an easy life, and the future,
Shit, if she's a queen pin, how many men making that same decision? You know what I'm saying? A bunch of men taking that $5 million, getting the fuck out of there too. Run that $5 million. I'm a gigolo in San Tropez with the $5 million. I'm gone. Flip that.
the next day even, felt so uncertain. Having a child was momentous and final in a way that just being married wasn't. Because if he died or disappeared before having a child with me, it would just be my loss. If the same thing happened with a baby, it was a loss for an entire lifetime. Peter knew that having a child was the biggest decision we'd ever make. And right then, I realized it too. The next day, though, I said yes. Peter was my life.
030 North in the chat said $5 million all day.
Our future family was my life. And one morning in March 2008, just 2 months after our kidnapping, I got the news I'd been dreaming of. I love pizza. I could eat it 3 times a day and still go back for more. Yet one night, Peter and I ordered pizza, and I couldn't stand to look at it, let alone eat it. "Get that away from me," I said to Peter. I went to bed early, still hungry, and the next morning, I woke up and walked to the bathroom. Sitting on the vanity was a cup holding one beautiful flower and an unopened pregnancy test. I removed the test from the cup and walked back into the bedroom to talk with Peter. "What's with this?" I asked, smiling. "Go back in the bathroom and take that test," he said. "I have a feeling it's going to be good news." Less than 5 minutes later, I saw those 2 little blue lines on a stick.
Olivia. For all of us, me, Mia, Junior, and Peter, the Puerto Vallarta kidnapping became our second chance. When Mia and I were tied up, thinking we'd die right there before having more babies, our husbands were thinking the same thing. They were asking themselves, Is this the life we want for our wives and children? We can't do this to them anymore. If this happens again, it's going to end in tragedy, and everyone, including our kids, will be dead. I also realized how lucky we'd been. If the Marshals had taken Junior and Peter back to the United States, they would have been facing life behind bars. I would have been left alone, pregnant, with 2 babies to raise by myself.
That was a close-ass call. If they didn't, no Mencho, no Musico, no Okie Dokes to get in the backseat of that car and get traded to the U.S., and they actually got in them cars and went to the U.S., whole different story right there. Them dudes just doing life in prison, period. Period, because there was no way they were going to escape in the U.S. Chapo knows he can't escape in the U.S., so again, the guys on the other side, that's the worst thing is that they get extradited over here, you know what I'm saying? So that would have been it right there. They'd have been donezo. Very close call.
That's why Junior and I started talking almost nightly about getting out. I won't ever forget what you looked like at Kay's funeral, he said to me. You were pregnant, lying on the ground in agony. I felt it then and I feel it now. That can't happen again. I was on the same page. I just couldn't live through that again. We knew it wouldn't be easy, though. The Sinaloa cartel and the BLO had just gone to war with each other, and Junior and Peter saw that things were headed in a bad direction, like worse than ever. They were on the fringes of the kind of personal retaliation they'd never seen before.
Mia. On January 21st, 2008, Mocomo was arrested in Culiacan with $900,000 in cash and an arsenal of rifles, automatic weapons, bulletproof vests, and grenades. The Beltran Leyva brothers believed that it was El Chapo and the Sinaloa cartel who had tipped off the authorities to Alfredo's hiding place in a Culiacan safe house, and they were enraged, vowing revenge. This incident sparked the beginning of the feud that quickly turned the BLO against the Sinaloa cartel.
Olivia.
There it is. The split.
The arrest of Mocomo infuriated his brothers. With Alfredo behind bars, Arturo took the helm of the Beltran Leyva organization, vowing he'd get back at Chapo. Violence in Culiacan shot through the roof, and the months of February and March and beyond saw all-out warfare on the streets of Culiacan. Chapo's men were cut up into pieces, which were then thrown into the trunks of their cars. BLO workers were shot at random in the mom-and-pop bars they frequented at the end of every workday. It wasn't uncommon for safe houses to be firebombed, with the workers inside so badly burned that their bodies couldn't be identified.
Dirty game.
Mia. Right away, Peter and Junior had found themselves in the middle of the 2 warring factions. Both the BLO and the Sinaloa cartel needed them, though, so while they felt somewhat protected, the heat was on. To each side, the obvious way to get more power over the other was pull Peter and Junior closer into the fold. So each brought up the idea of a plaza. The BLO wanted them to control Tijuana, while Chapo and Mayo hoped to turn over Mexicali.
Olivia. A plaza is a piece of real estate specific to trafficking. There was a plaza in Vallarta, another in Culiacan, and more in pretty much every major drug center in Mexico.
Much more detailed in this book than they were in Surviving the Chapo. And I understand why. I mean, it was a podcast, more of a conversation, an interview. In a book, you're able to sit down, reflect, write down things and get them right. You know what I'm saying? It's not just off the cuff a recording. So, very well done, man. I'm enjoying this.
The head of a plaza controlled that area, coordinating which drugs were coming in and which were going out. He negotiated police protection, and anyone who sold drugs in that area would have to get his permission. It was a powerful position to be in, and to a lot of the cartel members in Mexico, it was the highest you could go without actually being the boss. The idea was to have Junior and Peter control a plaza together. After all, They'd always run a dual business, and there was no way one would go to one cartel and the other go to another. They were a team, and two heads weren't just better than one. They were one. But they respectfully declined. We don't want that kind of power, they said. I'm sure Chapo and the Beltran Leivas just shook their heads and looked at them like they were crazy. But Peter and Junior weren't chasing that kind of massive ego drug lord life. This was just a business to them, and they were always going to choose family over everything.
Mia. They knew that if they got a plaza, they would have to send us back to the United States to live. Just like Chapo or all of the other cartel bosses, they'd have to go into hiding, and we'd only see them once they sent for us. Chapo didn't care about being in the mountains. He'd just have girls come to him. But Peter and Junior wouldn't think about giving us up. It was totally out of the question.
Olivia. They could turn down a plaza, but they couldn't escape their associates who'd started putting pressure on them. One day, after Mocomo got arrested and the Beltran Leiva brothers soured on Chapo and Mayo, Musico called Junior. He wanted my husband to come see him, but Junior said that he couldn't. I can't come see you because Rambo's here, he said. He's been in town on an operation and said it's not a good time for me to come out. If Musico had a problem with Junior hanging out with Rambo, he didn't say it on that call. Sure enough, though, the next day Musico found out that Rambo had picked up Arturo Beltran's right-hand man, a guy they called El Comandante, taken him back to his ranch and killed him in front of his whole family.
Here we go.
The operation Junior had mentioned was a deliberate act against the BLO, and Musico was pissed. He called Junior and said as much. Rambo killed El Comandante. You better tell me where the fuck Chapo is because I'm going to kill him myself. Junior just sat there, worried. He had no idea the operation was a direct blow to the BLO.
Gotta pay attention.
Musico, he said, you know my brother and I have nothing to do with this war. We're not fighting. You know us. You know we don't get involved. Don't be mad at us. We're just working. But Musico kept screaming, you better pick a side. Pick a fucking side.
Because the same way, in the middle of a conversation about something that he didn't really understand the depth of, as far as we're being told here, just out of that conversation, you giving up information to the other side, right? Not that you have a side, but you're giving up information. And Musico got to be looking at it like, and that's a two-way street. You know, what if I was running an operation and you're so used to us being together and you're so used to us being one big happy family that you speak freely, and next thing you know, you done hit somebody to my mission, you know? Woo, it's a crazy, dangerous game that they're all playing, and the twins is in there like, no, but it's like, man, they're on top of them. Dudes are on top of it. Pick a side.
Mia. You could see the stress on Peter's face. I'd been with him through 3 kidnappings, but I'd never seen this kind of pressure bubbling up inside him.
It's a lot.
He and Junior were 2 warring cartels' biggest and best pipelines for sending drugs into the United States, and bodies were piling up to their right and their left. He came to me just a few weeks after I found out I was pregnant. I think Junior and I need to stop doing this. Without taking a moment to think about it, I pulled him to me, looked him straight in the face, and said, yes. Let's go talk to Junior and Olivia then.
Olivia. Mia didn't know that Junior and Peter had actually been talking for days. Maybe it was because Peter had tried to protect her, like he always did. Or maybe she was just so happy about being pregnant that Peter didn't want to spoil that moment for her. But I was always in Junior's ear, and I'd been begging for this more than anyone.
Mia. We initially started talking, all together, every few weeks after dinner. Some conversations were vague, and some were specific, with names and details and dates. We were scared, After all, we were considering changing everything in our lives.
Olivia. One night that April, we were sitting around the kitchen table at Mia and Peter's place. I don't know who started talking first, but I think it was Junior. Peter, things are changing, and we have to put our family first. I just don't think we can slow down and scale back. And if we move overseas, the cartels are just going to hunt us down. They're killing everyone, even their own fucking family. There's no walking away from them, and we'll have no protection. We risk the feds grabbing us and extraditing us. I don't think Junior had to convince his brother. He already had his mind made up. Peter got really serious and said what we were all thinking. We should call our lawyer and see if we can cut a deal. We can't keep doing this to our family.
This was told totally different in Surviving El Chapo. So used to saying subscribe. I would say subscribing El Guapo and the Gomez twins. In Surviving El Chapo, they told that story differently. Again, there were things at the time that they probably couldn't really come clean with in this book in 2017 or 2016 when it was written, 15, whatever that was. But it was told totally differently. Here it says Junior brings it up rather matter-of-factly, and Peter's all in. In Surviving El Chapo podcast, they said Junior brought it up to Peter. Peter flipped the fuck out and then came back days later and was like, what would we have to do? How would we do it? That's what it was. So this differs. So I'm going to take a step back right here so we can hear that.
Sees, the cartels are just going to hunt us down. They're killing everyone, even their own fucking family. There's no walking away from them, and we'll have no protection. We risk the feds grabbing us and extraditing us. I don't think Junior had to convince his brother. He already had his mind made up. Peter got really serious and said what we were all thinking. We should call our lawyer and see if we can cut a deal. We can't keep doing this to our family. Again,
it's quite possibly the same story, but since it's stretched out here, it kind of feels different. Maybe the conversation, the initial conversation between Pete and Jay has already happened, because they said they got into it and they feel like they had already been talking for a while about it. So who knows? I might be wrong.
Mia. Peter and Junior had put their blood, sweat, and tears into their organization, so leaving it all behind wasn't going to be easy. But there were 3 things weighing on us. First, we had unborn children. Bringing them into the drug world wasn't just unsafe. It perpetuated a cycle that had started the day Junior and Peter were born. They didn't want our kids to be raised the way they had been, and Brandon had already been exposed to too much. There was security around the perimeter outside where he played. A room packed with millions of dollars in cash next to his nursery, and 2 parents who didn't come home one night because they were handcuffed in a torture chamber. Second, this life wasn't guaranteed. Sure, Peter and Junior had worked day and night to build their business, but all of it could change at a moment's notice. The people they'd helped make rich could betray them any time, then kill them and our whole families and not lose a second of sleep over it. There was no loyalty. People were dying left and right, families murdering families. They wanted no part of that, and neither did we.
They were like, yo, we just got into this to get some paper. We ain't here to be tough guys. We ain't here to be terrorists. We ain't here to be no mass murderers. We're not here to be Tony Montana. You know? We here on business. But that's how they do business out there. It's very disposable business. They will dispose of you.
Finally, what they were doing just wasn't right. Peter and Junior had morals, but their job didn't. People in Chicago, a city we all loved, were strung out on drugs they'd shipped. Mothers had lost their teenage sons in cartel crossfire. Olivia's second husband had been murdered by a gang that was fueled by drug dealing. Peter and Junior turned to us. With one look of doubt from either me or Olivia, they would have had a change of heart. "What do you think?" Peter said. Olivia and I nodded our heads in unison. Get out. It was decided. Pedro and Margarito Flores were going to become federal informants, bring down the cartels, and dismantle everything they'd helped create.
That's it. It's different. It's different. It's not it, because we're going to keep going. But it's different than what we got in the Surviving El Chapo podcast. There was no mention of Sammy the Bull in this, the inspiration behind the whole thing, or part of it. Good episode. They got babies coming. There's a war. They gave you the reason why. So-and-so got locked up by so-and-so's cop. Then this happened, that happened. Long story short, hay guerra. Pick a side. Whose side you on? And they said, we're on our side. We getting out of here. They're going to make a deal. Here we go. Chapter 20.
Part 4. Informants. Chapter 18. No Promises. Olivia. By 2008, Junior and Peter's organization was pumping almost $50 million worth of cocaine onto U.S. streets every month, and they had over 100 employees in 10 cities. Yet they hadn't stepped foot on American soil in almost 5 years. They were fugitives, and if they'd taken that risk, they would have been arrested on the spot.
Mia. They had to take precautions, so they steered clear of the United States no matter what, even to talk to their lawyer about how to become the biggest drug informants in U.S. history. Someone had to fly to Chicago to lay the groundwork, though. It wasn't going to be them, and it didn't make sense for it to be me either. Junior and Peter's lawyer was just a voice on the phone to me, and I didn't have the background or the experience to effectively relay all that he needed to know. "Who's going to do it?" asked Peter one night. "Olivia," Junior said, no question. We all turned and looked at her, knowing she'd be perfect.
She's the go-to.
Olivia. It had to be me. After all, I'd had a relationship with Junior and Peter's lawyer, Joe Bonelli, long before I got together with Junior. When I was married to Kay, and the government asked me to wear a wire to gain intelligence against him, I decided I needed to talk to a lawyer, so I'd called Joe. He defended people in the drug trade, and on the street he was considered to be the best in the business. He'd also represented Peter and Junior's employees, wholesalers, and countless other big drug conspiracy cases in Chicago. He defended Adrian before he was sent to prison in the 1990s, and he'd stayed in touch with Junior and Peter over the years. He seemed to care about them, in fact. He never failed to ask about our family, and when I called and told him I needed to meet with him in Chicago, he seemed genuinely pleased. Joe had always been sharp. He was tall and handsome and wore nice, tailor-made suits, so he looked the part, but he acted it too. He was a great speaker, really commanding. I'd never seen him stumble. If anything, he was so confident he almost seemed cocky. But in March 2008, when I walked into his fancy office in the Loop,
they shook it. Leave it to the twins and Val to shake him up. They shook him.
all business, and started talking, he became a different person. Junior and Peter want to tell everything they know about Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, Arturo Beltran, and Ismael El Mayo Zambada. I said their first and last names and nicknames just to be totally clear and avoid any confusion.
No confusion there.
Chapo wasn't all over the news like he is now, and most Americans, aside from the government, hadn't heard of him. Junior and Peter have been working with the cartels for 4 years, and they know where the bosses are hiding. They're willing to do anything to bring them down. Joe sat behind his big wooden desk with his mouth wide open.
Shook.
He was holding a pen in his hand, but I think he'd forgotten that he wanted to take notes because he suddenly stared at the papers at his desk and hunched over, then started writing really fast. I realized he didn't know what to ask, so I kept on talking. I can tell you exactly how many tons Junior and Peter are bringing in every month, how many workers they have, and where the tunnels are that they use to get loads across the border. Chapel's been investing in submarines, and he's asking them to purchase rocket launchers from the military.
She just dropped a 2-ton duffel bag of info right there, just in that little boom right there. Submarines, that's all you got to say. Submarines and tunnels. Done deal. Damn.
And Junior and Peter own a fleet of tractor trailers they use to transport loads. Slow down, stop.
Yeah.
Did you say rocket launchers?
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
I forgot the rocket launcher.
They'll tell you every single detail of their business and how they're working with the cartels. They want to cooperate. Fully. I put extra emphasis on that last word. Joe finally looked up and paused. He was thinking. Then he started talking slowly. So, if I call this DEA agent I've worked with, maybe he can tell me exactly what you need to do. He went a little white. Wait, you don't have a wire on you, do you? What? A wire. Is anyone listening? Why the hell would I be recording you? Are you okay? Yes, I'm fine. Sorry. I'd known this guy for years, and he was usually cool as a cucumber.
He shook.
He never got paranoid. Then I realized I was putting him in a sticky situation. He was a kick-ass defense attorney who represented guys on the street, like regular drug dealers, and he probably didn't want to be known as the person who represented snitches.
Especially for the biggest bust that they got at the time. You know what I'm saying? That guy was used to winning. He was his mission was to go out there and win, get the best he could get. He's shook right now. He's wondering if this is a whole setup. He don't know what to think at the moment.
No one likes a rat, and they like their lawyers even less. To top it off, even though Joe had 10 times more experience with the drug trade than any other lawyer in Chicago, one of his clients cooperating with the government on the international stage was on a whole different level. He wasn't just nervous. He might even be in over his head. Look, relax, I said. I brought a secure phone. Let's call my husband and Peter.
Mia. Olivia had given us a heads up that she'd probably call us from Joe's office, but Peter and Junior and I were still so nervous, sitting there in our penthouse with Brandon. We had no idea if Joe would even want to take the case, and we were really depending on Liv to tell him everything.
At the moment, Joe wants to get out of Dodge. Joe's like, yo, I need new clientele. This ain't working out for me at the moment.
Plus, I couldn't stop feeling strange. We had this secret that no one else knew, and it occupied my mind constantly. I trusted Peter completely, and I knew his decision was 100% in my best interest. But still, I was seeing him and everything in a new light. When the phone rang, Peter grabbed it and proceeded to tell Joe absolutely everything he and Junior wanted to do. Then he put it on speaker so we all could hear. Peter, Junior, Mia, hello, Joe said deliberately. Are you sure this is what you want to do? Junior spoke up. Absolutely, we're sure. Because there's no turning back. Yes, definitely, said Peter. Then he stopped. But do you want to do this? Joe paused.
Hell no.
Do I have a choice? I don't want you guys to talk to the wrong people and then have something happen to you and your families. Just let me make some calls. I need to reach the right people. Peter leaned in toward the phone and lowered his voice. Joe, listen to me. Be careful who you contact. Because half of the people we know in Chicago and half of the people you represent have ties to the cartels. Chapo and Mayo have lawyers and officials on both sides of the border who weed out rats and snitches. They report to them weekly. If anybody finds out what we're doing, they will kill my whole fucking family. You got that? I got it. So what's gonna happen next? Peter asked.
Tense.
I'll call you after I speak to the feds. After that, the ball's in their court. But you've got our backs, right? Junior asked. I do. Joe went quiet for a second. Look, I can't promise you what kind of deal you'll get, and I can't even promise the amount of prison time you'll get, but I'll give you my word that I'll defend you no matter what. I'm on your side from here on out. That's probably the only promise you'll get this whole time. We trust you, Junior said. I'll call you in a few days. I hope. No promises. Then Joe hung up. The next thing we knew, Olivia was on a flight home.
Olivia. No promises became the theme of those first few months Junior and Peter were cooperating.
None.
Like, sure, we'll tell you we're assigning a bunch of agents to your case, and they'll probably call you at some point, but we can't promise when. Or, give us all the intelligence you can, but we can't promise you how it might affect your case.
Or your life.
We knew nothing, like absolutely zero in the beginning. The only thing we could do was try to take care of our situation at home, which meant deciding who'd meet with the feds, whenever the hell they did call. It didn't take Peter long to make a decision. I don't trust the feds, he said. When we meet with them, they could arrest us and extradite us right then and there. We can't go together. Then what are you thinking? Junior asked. I'll go alone. I can't separate you from Brandon. If he loses you right now, I couldn't live with myself. Junior looked at Peter and slowly nodded his head. There wasn't even a need to say thank you. They were in this together, like they'd always been. Junior had put his life on the line during Peter's kidnapping, flying into the mountains to meet with Chapel and hammering out an arrangement to free him. Making sacrifices for each other was just what they did. We planned and we waited. Joe was our only lifeline.
Mia. We called Joe all the time, and he was patient and reassuring most of the time, but sometimes he was as concerned as we were. It's going to take a while, he'd say, and seriously, I wonder if you boys are doing the right thing. Joe had come to realize what we had, that Junior and Peter were making an unheard of decision.
And they were just hung out there. They don't know when the feds are coming. They don't know what help they're gonna get. And maybe this, maybe that. Maybe I snatch you up and take you. Whatever, we'll figure it out there. The whole time they're thinking, well, we've already talked to Joe about this. We've already put Joe to handle it with the feds. The word is out there. I just told you, Chapo got dudes that check in every week. Lawyers on both sides of the fence, both sides of the border, both sides of the war. Everybody weeding out snitches. They gotta suffer through those tense. What was it? Months? It was like 9 months or something like that. On their own, just hung out there. And then when the time came and they said, oh, you know, they're thinking they're gonna get some help. They're gonna get some I Spy type equipment. They got nothing. They say figure it out for yourself, and they did.
By far the most difficult one they'd ever made. They were doing what few people in their right minds would even consider, risking their lives by walking away from the drug trade at the height of their careers. We finally heard from a DEA agent named Sam in April, who wanted to set up an initial meeting between Peter and the feds in Cancun soon. To Junior and Peter, it was one of the most gut-wrenching conversations of their lives. The second they picked up the phone and said hello, they officially became rats.
Olivia. I think that call made the whole situation hit home. After that, they were beyond sick. They completely went against everything that had been instilled in them since childhood, because growing up, the feds were the bad guys, the enemies. They were the people who'd sent their dad away before they were born. They were the guys who'd helped put away Adrian. In their minds, they'd always been doing what they needed to do to support their families. Sure, they were making excuses to justify their wrongdoings, but coming from where they did and being bred into the world they were, that was the way it had always been. I knew Junior was scared of walking away and giving up the only life he'd ever known. On top of that, he was worried I'd lose respect for him. But he'd seen how I'd grown into a different woman since we'd met. I didn't care about what people thought anymore. I loved my family so much, I was willing to accept my husband becoming an informant.
That's another thing they didn't get into in this book that they did get into and were a little bit more honest about in Surviving El Chapo. In Surviving El Chapo, they made it clear that Val was completely against the idea. Val was completely, no rat situation. That's not what we do. They didn't touch on that in here. They did not get into that in Cartel Wives. But they absolutely got into it in Surviving El Chapo.
He was willing to change his life for me and our children, and I respected and loved him for making such a courageous decision. It was the ultimate gift. To make things right, they knew they had to sacrifice themselves, walk away from their loved ones, and go to prison for a very long time. They were heading down an unknown path, and their lives were going to turn upside down and become a living hell because of it. But they had to break the cycle and do what was right. It was the only thing, and the most selfless thing, they could do for our families and the well-being of our children. Junior and Peter had always said, "It's easier to do wrong and so hard to do right." In the weeks leading up to their first meeting with the feds, for the first real time in their lives, they began doing the latter.
There it is. That was chapter 20, y'all. They are officially informants. They are officially under the thumb of the U.S. government. What benefit they got from that, I don't know. Other than maybe not getting life in prison and being rescued from a situation where their whole family could have been wiped out. But that was their doing, really. The feds just signed off on it, but they didn't help them with nothing else. But we've reached that point where it's officially gone down. They made the decision. Again, Cartel Wives did not speak on the fact that Sammy the Bull was a thought in Jay's head. It didn't really get into the conversations. In Surviving El Chapo, we got into the conversation of Jay having the thought, bringing it to Peter, bringing it to Val, them disagreeing at first and then coming to terms with it. We got all of that in Surviving El Chapo. So again, that's why I say that the book and the podcast complement one another. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely complement one another. I appreciate everyone that's here. Please hit the like button if you're here. We did chapter 19 and chapter 20. I'm considering tomorrow morning or tomorrow early afternoon doing chapter 21 and chapter 22. And that's pretty much it. Unless y'all want to go into chapter 21 right now, you let me know in the chat. Throw your hundreds up in the chat. Hit the like button. And I'll keep going. JP Ghost in the chat said it before. It was a lose-lose situation for them. Life or death situation. Absolutely. On a whole lot of angles, yeah. Anybody could have came from them at any moment. And even during that time, all it did was intensify. So let's look at it like this. Let's just say they don't want to serve a life sentence. They don't want to have their family wiped out by a warring cartel, either side, right? That's already a danger in itself that's giving them the thought in their mind to say, hey man, I'm going to cooperate, right? So they're cooperating over the danger. They're cooperating over the drama, right? Now they're stuck in limbo. After they set off that cooperation, they're stuck in limbo for 7, 8, 9 months. You know what I'm saying? And the same danger that they did it for has increased 10, 20-fold. Why? Because their name is out there somewhere. In whatever small little office and in whatever corner of the room, their name is out there as an informant. So everything is elevated at this point. You know what I'm saying? Everything is peak level drama. You know what I mean? All right, man. We got Sky Enterprise in the chat with the hundreds. Also with the hundreds. We got the highest view count of the evening. So I think we're just gonna keep going. I ain't got nowhere to be but here with you. So let's get it. All right, they're officially in. Let's go chapter 21. Please hit the like button. Appreciate y'all. Hit the like button. And when it's over with, leave a comment. Do all of the good things that do good things for us over here. Chapter 21, Cartel Wives.
Chapter 19.
You lying.
The Feds. Mia. The Feds scrapped the Cancun meeting. A few weeks later, they set up another one in Cabo San Lucas. But when Peter and I arrived there, we found out that it had been canceled too. The Feds hadn't been able to get clearance from the Justice Department. Traveling back home to Guadalajara, we were in a panic. At the airport, the garbage man taking out the bathroom trash looked like a cartel member. Then we saw 2 American men eating at a fast food restaurant, and I froze up. Peter, I said, they look like undercover agents.
They're everywhere.
Just keep walking and look ahead, he answered. But I realized he didn't disagree with me. He knows as well as I do that dozens of people know about this meeting. We could be ambushed at any moment from both sides, the cartel and the Feds.
Olivia. Thank God me and Peter came home safely. When they did, we continued to discuss our plans almost every day. Some discussions were vague and some were specific with names and dates and details. We were scared, so we'd huddle in the bathroom in my house, running all the spa jets, the rain showers, and the 6-person jacuzzi, and whispering together in case one of Chapo's employees was driving by.
You remember that? They hang out in the bathroom with the jacuzzi running on swole so nobody could hear them, having their conversations back there, their committee meetings. Crazy. Sky Enterprise in the chat said, damn, they was playing with their lives, man. They was playing for their lives, playing the game for their lives to try to keep it. They was in Squid Game for real. You know? They was definitely in Squid Game.
Picking up conversations from the airwaves. During one of our bathroom conferences, we came up with a plan B. If Junior or Peter were ever separated from us, Mia and I would get on a private plane and fly to a safe house in Mexicali. There, we'd wait for further instructions. But if they were ever captured or killed, we'd have to flee Mexico and make it to safety in the United States. Then, finally, in May 2008, the Feds called again. They wanted Peter to hop on a flight to Monterrey, Mexico, and be prepared to talk. For hours. The Feds were ready to hear what he and Junior planned to disclose, and who they wanted to betray. And they were prepared to give them instructions on how to become federal informants. Apparently, though, they weren't at all ready for a case this big.
Mia. Peter and I hated the idea of going to Monterrey. Not just because it was so close to the border, but because we'd be entering enemy territory. Monterrey was controlled by Los Zetas, one of Mexico's most dangerous and violent cartels, and they were at war with Sinaloa. The second we got there, Peter was looking over his shoulder. But that didn't stop us from taking a walk the next night before his meeting, something we did every night we were together. If this doesn't work out, you know where I'm going. I want you to know that I love you, and I did this for us. We'll be fine. You'll be fine, Peter said to me that night. For the first time since he'd decided to cooperate, I began to believe that maybe he was right. Even though the possibility of him going to jail the next day felt very real to us, I thought to myself, if I was strong enough to agree that Peter should change his life, I'm strong enough to live on my own. Joe hadn't given him any promises about what would happen when he sat down with the feds. So we knew an arrest right then and there was possible.
Hell yeah, it's possible.
Still, I felt a small pocket of strength stirring somewhere deep inside me. I needed that confidence the next morning, though. When we woke up and sat together on the edge of the bed, holding hands, our hearts pounding, part of me was convinced it was all going to go south. I couldn't stop thinking, oh my God, this is it. It doesn't matter what he says or does. I'm going to have to raise our baby by myself. I love you, Peter said as he pulled me toward him. But I may have to let you go for a little while, so I can hold on to you forever. I was sobbing. This is the hardest thing we've ever had to do. What if they don't let you come back to me? If they don't, Peter answered, please take care of yourself and my baby. Then he turned and looked me straight in the eyes. I'll see you soon. Keep the door locked, and if you see anyone suspicious, leave right away. He stood up and leaned down to kiss me, then my belly. Then he walked out the door.
And think about it, the guys that had been securing them and been their security the whole time or whatever, guys that are working for them that are holding them down, they can't know none of this either. So they got to keep this from everybody. So the only ones that can keep them safe is themselves at this point.
I didn't know when he'd be back, so I stayed in that room, pacing back and forth nervously all day. I kept thinking, what did I let him do? I didn't open up the curtains. I took a few bites of food I'd pulled out of the minibar, but nothing tasted good. I tried to turn on the television, but I was terrified I'd see a news report with Peter's mugshot plastered on the screen, saying he'd been taken away. I'd slept so badly the night before, but I couldn't take a nap. All I could do was wait. And wait. I couldn't stop thinking about what might be happening. I knew how corrupt the cops in Mexico were, especially near the border, and the barbarism of Los Zetas made me sick to my stomach. Peter had demanded that there be no officials from Mexico in the room, but there were going to be American agents in the meeting who were stationed in Mexico. How could we be sure the cartels didn't know what was going on?
You couldn't.
For all I knew, Peter had walked into that hotel and been shot in the elevator.
Absolutely.
The only thing that really reassured me was that our lawyer, Joe, would be there, along with 2 DEA agents who knew their case better than anyone. The agent from Chicago's name was Eric, and he was young, smart, and eager. A case this big was a new world for him, and he needed to learn from Peter and Junior to advance in his career, so he was taking it on with an open mind. He wasn't cocky, like all the other agents they'd run into in the past, and he didn't treat them like criminals. He actually seemed astounded by their courage in putting themselves in such a dangerous predicament. He realized this was a big decision for them, and he knew they wanted to make a difference in their lives. His colleague from Milwaukee was named Matt, and he'd actually been the guy who'd raided Peter and Junior's houses, along with their sister's house back in February 2004. Peter and Junior knew he'd just been doing his job, though. Still, Eric, Matt, and Joe were the only guys Peter felt comfortable with in that room. Everyone else was an unknown, and that was a risk.
It's like a little family reunion going on over there.
I sat there in the dark for 6 long hours before Peter walked in. "Baby, you're back!" I screamed and ran to him. He looked almost as bad as he'd been when he came home from being kidnapped. He was pale and his face was sunken. He seemed bone-tired. He slumped toward the bed, sat down, pulled me close, and started bawling. He looked absolutely defeated. Finally, he began talking. "We went to a hotel and entered through the basement. I took the elevator up with Joe. I thought I was going to throw up, but he was so relaxed, like totally nonchalant. He knocked on the door, and when someone answered, he walked right past him and started talking with everyone else in the room." "How many people were there?" "About 8, other than me, and Joe knew all of them," he said. "The federal prosecutor, whose name is Tom, some U.S. Marshals, a few FBI officials, Eric and his colleague, this agent named Matt, another DEA agent, and Joe. Someone frisked me for weapons, sat me down, and started asking questions.
They easily could have just snatched them up, took off with them, right then and there. Done deal. We got one. 030 North in the chat, back in, bro. Good life. Thank you, bro. Appreciate you.
At this point, he'd settled down a little bit. I was trying my best to be calm, but I was terrified. How did it start? I began when I was a kid. I talked about Junior, Adrian, and our dad. I went through everything, getting kidnapped in Chicago, leaving the country and building up our business from here and how it all works. I went from A to Z. How did they react? Everyone except Joe sat there with their mouths open. Some female agent from Milwaukee was running the show. He paused. Joe sat there with his feet kicked up on the end table half the time. I couldn't fucking believe it. My husband was about to rat out the cartels, and not only was a small-town agent running things, but our lawyer was acting like he was thinking about hitting the beach. Then again, he was a distinguished lawyer in the biggest, most dangerous case of his career. Maybe he actually did need a long vacation to deal with all of this.
Yeah, he was just doing his lawyer thing. He wasn't going to look shook to those feds as far as he was concerned, probably. Or he was so shook, he had to chill out. Nobody's going to feel the intensity, regardless of who they're giving up. Nobody's going to feel it the way Peter's going to feel it in there. He's feeling the pressure that, like, I'm giving you your life is on the line. Your family's life is on the line. Them, it's just another day in the office. Chapo's nothing but a big promotion for them if they do it right. So they're all there trying to see what they can get out this deal.
They kept asking about numbers, like they couldn't get how big we are. They couldn't comprehend the level we're on. He paused to hold me tighter and then started getting worked up again. They were asking about street dealers, for God's sake, and customers. They wanted to know about Chicago, not Mexico. I was sitting there saying, I'll give you Chapo and Mayo. And they were like, tell us more about where your stash houses are. I was talking submarines and cartel members, and they were asking about all these little people.
It sounds like them. It sounds like their incompetence. You know what I'm saying? That is obvious. It's just how people do. Like, he's giving you the biggest guy in the game, and you sitting here worried about Buddy 20 steps below him on the street somewhere.
Peter was usually so calm, but he could go from 0 to 10, with 10 being totally furious in seconds. He was at about an 8 right then. They're clueless. They have no idea what they're fucking doing. Can they handle this information? I'm about to give them Chapo, the most violent, dangerous, and powerful criminal in the world, plus everyone who's helped build his empire. This is bigger than Chicago. It's a global issue. It's fucking narco-terrorism. Yet they asked me to draw a diagram of who's on top in the cartels and where Junior and I fit in.
This is crazy.
He pulled a piece of paper out of his pocket. It was from one of those notepads you find next to a hotel bed with a ballpoint pen on top. Written in Peter's handwriting was this: Chapo, El Mayo, Peter, Jr., with lines connecting them. I was floored. Fuck. Yeah, right? All this time I thought they knew everything about us, that they were building this huge case against me and Junior and could grab us at any minute.
Nope, that was federal First 48. As you can see from First 48, they don't never got nothing. There's always somebody that got to tell them something for them to have anything. Shout out DJ Wito in the chat. What's good, Shy? Salutes to you, DJ Wito. Felix Reyes said maybe they didn't believe him at first. Quite possible. But I mean, if you're the federal government, right, and you're the DEA, and you're these marshals, and you're this and you're that, Homeland Security, counterterrorism, all of this stuff, you would think they'd have some information. They'd know something about these twins. These twins got a case in Wisconsin. You know what I'm saying? You would think it's like, okay, we know who they are. I mean, they in Surviving El Chapo, it came off as if they did know a little bit more. They knew a little bit more about the twins than they're letting on here. But nah, I just think they're incompetent, don't? You know what I'm saying? I don't think it's a case of them not believing them. I just think they're incompetent. I think they'll step over dollars for dimes, you know? That's what I think. I think they have their own agendas, and I don't know if they even wanted to play with them big boys. Like he said, they're asking about street level dealers on this side.
And they know jack shit. They're in over their heads. I finally couldn't take it anymore and said, "You're going to do this my way. If you want information out of me, this is the way we have to do it." Did they agree? Yes, they had to. They have to. Everyone in that room understood how important informants are, and that a huge case like this doesn't just fall into their laps. I worry that they aren't grasping the complexity and how huge this case is going to be. I don't think they realize that we can dismantle everything, like the entire North American drug trade. We can bring in Chapo if we do this right.
But you're right, Felix. Maybe they looked at it like these guys are feeding us pie in the sky. You know what I'm saying? So it's quite possible that they didn't believe them and they were like, these guys are selling us a dream. Tell us about something we can go get right now. Who's dude on the corner? We go get dude right now. You know what I mean? So it's quite possible.
Olivia. Junior and Peter knew they could be the most important informants the feds had ever encountered. The work they were going to do wasn't just a matter of law and order. It was about changing their lives and the world around them. Yet right from the beginning, they knew they were taking a leap of faith, praying that everything would work out for the best. There were no promises, no sense of security, and absolutely no guidance. And, unfortunately, when they started to record, things didn't get much better.
They were on their own. All right, y'all, that was chapter 21. We're going one more 15-minute episode to chapter 22, and then we'll be done for the night because I'm all the way in. Hundreds in the chat. Salutes to y'all. Appreciate y'all being here. Please hit the like button if you have yet to do so. And here we go.
Chapter 20. Recordings, Raids, and Seizures.
22.
Olivia. Junior and Peter's agreement with the feds was basically unheard of in the history of U.S. drug trafficking investigations. They'd tape all their conversations and phone calls, gather information and intelligence, facilitate massive seizures of drugs and money, and secure indictments and extraditions of the United States and Mexico's highest-ranking cartel members. If their workers unloaded a shipment of drugs in Chicago and Peter was on the line to supervise it, it went on tape. If Peter arranged distribution to the wholesalers, it was recorded. If Junior negotiated prices for their loads, the DEA and U.S. attorneys were going to hear it.
Mia.
Everything on tape.
Who everyone really hoped to get, though, were the leaders of the Sinaloa cartel and the BLO. In 2008, there wasn't much direct criminal evidence against El Chapo, El Mayo, Alfredo Beltran, or any other member of the two cartels. Sure, there was a trail of clues that may or may not have led back to them, and a pile of bodies building up on either side of the cartel wars, but no one had the leaders on tape. In fact, there weren't any recent photos of Chapo, and even his appearance remained a mystery to the U.S. authorities. In order to get an indictment against him, they needed solid evidence that would prove that the heads of the Sinaloa cartel were actually involved in drug conspiracy in the United States, and especially in Chicago. That's what they were counting on Peter and Junior for.
Olivia. In exchange for all the information Junior and Peter gathered and turned in, they'd receive leniency when it came to their crimes. But as with everything involved in their cooperation, there were no promises. They might get 5 years or they might get 30.
Dang.
In fact, the specifics weren't even discussed during their conversations with the lawyers or the agents. They couldn't be because the ultimate sentencing decision, which might not happen for years, was up to a federal judge.
Mia. The guidance they received about recording was just as unclear. If you think the feds came into our houses and put secret cameras in our walls or microphones in our ink pens like in a James Bond movie, you're dead wrong. Peter and Junior had the opportunity to unravel the entire North American drug trade, but they didn't even have the necessary equipment. They had to buy their own recorders at places like Radio Shack. They'd fill up a few recorders a week, upload the conversations onto USB drives, then hand them over to the agents. Worse than that, the government couldn't be responsible for their lives, so they wouldn't advise them on what they were supposed to say when they recorded. Everything they did or said was at their own risk.
They were powerless. The cartels could run right over them if they wanted to. In fact, it seemed like anyone might be able to. In our part of Guadalajara, we used to see them around, just out and about like sitting ducks. They weren't hard to miss. They looked like American tourists and drove around in cars with diplomat plates. One used to work out at Junior's gym, and when Junior would walk in, he'd just smile and nod at him. There was no reason to be scared. Junior was protected by the cartels, and there was nothing some random Fed could do about it. On a few occasions after they started cooperating, Junior and Peter were debriefed and questioned at random hotels or hidden side streets. But the agents just fed information up the pipeline to Chicago. They'd tell Peter and Junior what was happening in Mexico, though. One time, they revealed to my husband and brother-in-law that an informant had just been killed. Believe me, that scared the shit out of all of us.
Mia. Another big problem was that the Chicago office was making things up as they went along. Or at least that's how we felt.
I bet they were.
There had been cartel bosses that had cooperated in the past, but after the fact, once they were captured and sent to prison, there hadn't been any on the streets and in the mountains federal informants on Peter and Junior's scale in anyone's lifetime, and especially not ratting out the heads of the cartels. Our husbands had reached the peak of the drug trade, and because of that, the DEA's office had no idea what kind of information they'd be getting from them. It wasn't like they could prepare Junior and Peter, or even guide them.
Olivia. Even as anxious and unsatisfied as they were, Junior and Peter felt a huge sense of responsibility when it came to the agents they were working with. Undercover agents stationed in Guadalajara were putting their lives in our husbands' hands, and if the cartels found out who they were, they'd be executed on the spot.
Think about that. These guys are sitting here trying to survive this whole war between these cartels, and the United States government is doing nothing to protect them in the sense of helping them do this and none of this, but they're worried about putting agents in dangerous situations, agents that are supposed to be there to help them.
Because of that, Junior and Peter were amazed at the degree of bravery and integrity these guys possessed. They were doing the right things for the right reasons. And by ensuring their safety, our husbands were finding hidden depths in their own integrity.
Mia. Peter got hundreds and hundreds of phone calls on his burner phones every day, and he recorded each one. He figured it would just be easier to stay home, where he always had his recording devices set up, and could use his two-way earbud in private. Outside, it was much more dangerous. What if he was out on the street, got a call, and had to put his earbud in and turn the recorder on? Somebody would see that, and he'd be dead. At home, he kept his earpiece in when he was on calls, or if people were around, he'd take it out and hide it. He stashed it in drawers, next to the TV, or anywhere else that no one could see. Even though the government told him explicitly not to record in person, he had to sometimes. I remember him hiding the cord in the back of a book, with the bud sticking out from the pages. When he met with people in his office, he'd try to position himself as close as possible to the bookshelf, with them sitting nearby, so he could be sure every word they said got on tape. The whole thing made me a nervous wreck, and I did everything I could to make his days better.
That was a full-on undercover situation. They was basically the coldest undercover cops that ever existed at that point. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what they were. That's what they were. Undercovers, deep undercover with no help, off the books type shit.
Less stressful. Then, anytime anyone came over, I'd spend half an hour running around making sure the recorders were hidden. After they'd arrive, I'd try to figure out what to do with myself. I'd tell Peter, I don't know what to do when people are here and you're recording. What if they can read my face and body language and know I'm hiding something? Relax, Peter would say. Just try not to be around. So I'd go in the other room and pretend to be busy, all the time worrying that the battery on the recorder would run down and start beeping. I just didn't want us to die. It was as simple as that. I didn't want to be tortured or have my baby gutted out of me.
Yeah, I'm sure you didn't. That sounds rather reasonable.
And I knew that was a real possibility if we got caught.
Olivia. Many of the calls Peter and Junior made were to their associates in Chicago, making sure that the shipments were arriving where they needed to be on time. They had to keep their business moving along, yet no one could know they were undercover. So they were constantly hitting the feds with information like, there's a load in LA, or there's a stash house in this neighborhood in Chicago. Then the feds would swoop in and bust those locations,
That's it. They
seizing
just
the
show
drugs and arresting.
They didn't have to do nothing else. All they had to do was show up. They got all the information handed right to them. All they had to do was show up. And you would think they'd walk around less cocky. They act like they did it all.
Arresting everyone. Little by little, everyone they were working with in the United States, making sure that the shipments were arriving where they needed to be on time. They had to keep their business moving along, yet no one could know they were undercover. So they were constantly hitting the feds with information like, there's a load in LA, or there's a stash house in this neighborhood in Chicago. Then the feds would swoop in and bust those locations, seizing the drugs and arresting everyone. Little by little, everyone they were working with in the United States was going to get hauled in.
Mia. The first seizure was one of the most stressful things they'd ever been through. On August 9th, 2008, Junior and Peter were expecting a load from a line they'd been working in Mexicali. This shipment in particular was 250 kilos, which was about the norm. The load had made its way through a network of tunnels, crossed the border, was placed on tractor trailers, and was en route to Chicago with a precise pickup time of 6 a.m. Saturday. As always, Junior and Peter had done a dry run before the shipment hit the road, so everything was running like clockwork. They had the fastest routes picked out and knew the best ways to avoid taking too many streets. They'd planned to stick to highways and busy roads so that the trucks would just blend in.
Olivia. Peter had given the feds the exact address of the warehouse in Melrose Park, outside of Chicago, walking them through the location using Google Earth so they knew exactly where to park without anyone noticing them. The night before, Eric and Matt went there and staked the place out. Then, they set up an undercover DEA agent to receive the load, called a controlled delivery, explaining to their workers that there was this new guy there for pickup. Peter called the coordinator who was in charge of the shipment to Chicago and started speaking in code. "Is Pancho there?" he asked in Spanish. "On behalf of whom?" asked the coordinator. "On behalf of Donald Trump." He'd cracked the combination. Things were ready to move.
Mia.
Forget twin language. That was super code language.
Din.
Olivia. Peter had given the feds the exact address of the warehouse and started speaking in code. "Is Pancho there?" he asked in Spanish. "On behalf of whom?" asked the coordinator. "On behalf of Donald Trump." He'd cracked the combination. Things were ready to move.
Mia. After he hung up, Peter was a wreck. We had this little white Maltese named Gigi, who was his baby. That dog followed him everywhere, and I swear if he had to choose between me or the dog, he would have chosen her, for sure. The entire night before the raid, Peter kept walking back and forth to his computer, checking Google Earth to see which streets the agents could park on. Gigi hung right at his heels, her tiny pink-painted toenails clacking on the floor. As I struggled to fall asleep that night, thinking about the choices he and Junior had made and how exhausted Peter was by this life, all I could hear were those toenails back and forth on the hardwood.
Olivia. The next morning, the workers were in place, ready to receive the load. The feds were on the ground, and Peter, Junior, Mia, and I were up bright and early, stationed near the phone. Eric finally called. The truck just pulled in. We're ready to go. Hours later, when Eric rang and said that they'd taken down the truck and confiscated the kilos, Peter called Olivares, Chapo's right-hand man, to let him know that the load had been caught. Well, whatever, Olivares said.
Bro, that's a dangerous game. You getting those loads caught, and you gotta hit up Buddy whose load it is and tell them they got caught. It's crazy. Felix Reyes in the chat said, when I hear this, I think about all of them busts we had in Philly. If that was Flores' work, quite possible. Quite possible. Who knows, man? And who knows what kind of chain reaction these busts didn't create. You know what I'm saying? Who got rolled up in this that didn't roll up somebody else, that rolled up somebody else, that ended up in Philly, ended up in LA. It's just a never-ending, cycle of, people getting rolled up in this shit. This was what, 2008? So yeah, 2008. 2008.
And when they got seized, they lost the 10% that they'd paid up front. Junior and Peter personally paid back $5 million on their first seizure alone. And at the same time, their workers and associates in Chicago, LA, and every other city where they did business were getting arrested. These were people they'd known all their lives, men and women they loved. They felt guilty. We all did.
Should have.
There was danger on every corner, too. Not just to them and to us, but to everyone they were even remotely connected to. After they repaid Olivares for a seized 250-kilo shipment, he confronted Junior and Peter because too many loads were falling, one after another.
That's why I blame the government. You didn't protect them. All you had to do was let them keep their operation going. They had been making money for how many years already? And you worried about one more year of them making money? You could come back for that bread later. You just don't want to get caught in public with your pants down with drug dealers working for you, because that's what y'all did before with the Contras. You know what I'm saying? So all they had to do was let them keep working. Now they got them giving up the shipment, giving up the money, and then paying off the debt to the cartel boss out of pocket. You know what I'm saying? You're putting them under mad heat. You want this case, or you want them all done for and out of there. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the choices that they were at. And the U.S. was like, I don't know, whatever happens first, whatever works. Like, y'all tweaked. You should have just let them work, business as usual. You would have got everything you needed.
I think it was the trucker who ratted you out. It was his first run. We don't know him, and it's suspicious that
Hold on.
they felt guilty. We all did. There was danger on every corner, too. Not just to them and to us, but to everyone they were even remotely connected to. After they repaid Olivares for a seized 250-kilo shipment, he confronted Junior and Peter because too many loads were falling, one after another. I think it was the trucker who ratted you out. It was his first run. We don't know him, and it's suspicious that the feds let him go. Peter said, No, I checked him out. He's not a snitch. Peter and Junior kept arguing and eventually saved the driver's life, but it planted a particular kind of terror in their minds. Even with just the smallest bit of suspicion from the cartels, with just the tiniest shred of doubt about their honesty, the cartels wouldn't hesitate to have them killed.
Done. All right, y'all. We reached chapter 22. It's a done deal for that one, too. We did 4 chapters today. 4 interesting chapters, very tense. It's going down. These boys is on the wire already. They're hung out to dry, and they're doing it all on their own with their wives, and that's pretty much it right there. They're feeling the guilt, feeling the pressure, feeling the stress, all of the above. Just more of the pressure cooker that they've been in since they've been in the game. If you think about their peak, man, what are we talking about? We're talking, what, 2003, 2004 to 2008. It's a 5-year period for a lot of this shit to happen, man. Again, here we are, 2024, and the women incarcerated still over all of this stuff. Not still, but, now. Incarcerated now after all these years. And the twins are out. But very tense situation. They out there on their own playing undercover, and every single minute their life is on the line. Every word they say, all it takes is one of those bosses to just wake up on the wrong side of the bed for them to say, you know what, these guys ain't on the level lately. You know what I'm saying? Pretty good. Tomorrow we will do another live. Early afternoon to afternoon, we will do another live. We will get another couple of chapters of Cartel Wives through the door. JP the Ghost in the chat says, salute to my guy Sa'il giving us another lit live. I appreciate you. Thank you very much for being here. I appreciate you guys being here. That's what keeps me here. You know what I'm saying? Another thing that to maybe take the place of Finnegan's Fake, since Finnegan's Take is now canceled on this channel. I don't know how much y'all know about the war between the Mormons living in Mexico and the cartel. That's something I want to look into. I know Mitt Romney and his family has something to do with that. So maybe that's something I'll pick up along the way. Again, these Cartel Wives episodes have been intense. We're getting to that apex in the story where they, get picked up and got to get the hell out of Dodge. I'm sure that's going to be very interesting being told on Cartel Wives rather than Surviving El Chapo. We got a good idea of what happened in Surviving El Chapo, how Val had to pick up and get everybody together and get out of there. And I'm looking forward to hearing that from Cartel Wives. So tomorrow we're going to do another couple of chapters. I appreciate everybody for being here. Hundreds up in the chat as we get out of here. I appreciate y'all. Please, if you didn't hit the like button on the way in, hit the like button on the way out. If you have yet to subscribe, please do. Do all of those good things that keep us going, keep us moving forward. Again, we're walking against the wind. We got YouTube working against us, but I move forward regardless. It is what it is. Again, I appreciate you all for being here. Shout out, let me go through the chat real quick. Shout out Old Soul, Big Changs, Ronnie Pinder, JP the Ghost, Felix Reyes, 030 North, I appreciate you. Sky Enterprise, appreciation to you. DJ Wito, salutes. What else we got in here? And that's pretty much it. I appreciate you guys. I'm going to throw my hundreds up in here. As well. I hope everyone has a good night. Safe night if you're on the road. Safe travels. And we'll be back tomorrow. Stay tuned. Best thing you can do for me besides hitting that like button is go hit one of them playlists and check out one of them playlists we got up in there. For sure. Salutes Jonathan Pantoja with the super chat to close it out. Appreciate you. Salute Shail, my dude. I can't believe how dirty YouTube is doing you. Nonetheless, I appreciate you and all you do for us. I appreciate you, Jonathan Pantoja. Salutes to you for being here. Appreciate the $10 super chat. Thank you very much. And again, we'll be back tomorrow. You guys can go. If you got the rest of the night and you hanging out, go and check out one of those playlists we got up in there. There's a whole bunch of good stuff in the true crime playlist. So again, I appreciate you guys. Thank you for being here. Jonathan Pantoja, thank you to you. And let's get out of here with a couple of minutes of a song. And I will see y'all tomorrow. Y'all have a great night. Y'all be safe. Peace.
Still holding, the tick is still going, the whip is still gassed up, the heat is still loaded. Safety switch off though, cause I don't just hold it. It's all about survival now and nothing here is holy. Every man for himself and a family member he holding. Pick the fruit from the vine and the government said he stole it. See the truth over time, it'll feel like you fucking wrote it. Put the pen to the future in hopes that you can unfold it. Your space and time stolen, and no one's seen the omens. Armageddon from heaven, it seems hell is overflowing. Money is an illusion and Lady Liberty hoeing. Somebody offer me paradise, I don't think that I'm going. This is a broken promised land, all of the people choking. They reach for the blood puddle with someone they love soaking. It hurts and the wound's open, I shake but I'm still focused. I wade through these fucking locusts, each wave and just keep holding. War drums banging, the last limbs hanging from the center of the planet where the bomb just landed. The whole shit shattered here, no one understands it here. Mushroom cloud breakthrough, crashing through the atmosphere. Shock on the face of the moon. This universe never had a clue Earth would burn this soon. We the dead flesh, this rock is the tomb. To the box from the womb, but I'ma hold on to the lava consumes me and you. Till the prophets come on rockets and boom. If you can hear these visions and take a long